we're trying to do a common good in our community. But when the good gets back for us, put that impact, your work and your effect on your community. So we're talking about recognizing the signs of stress. Let's talk about that, because I think that's important too. But what are some of the signs, maybe some of the physical symptoms that you may feel recognizing the stress?
You know, I started an email. I haven't actually put it out just yet, but I started an email last night to our board.
Oh, okay.
For New Pay Human Services. And I said to them, I said, hello, everyone. I said, I am at the point right now where I am getting burnt out. I need some help. I said, in taking the Acapia course that was brought on, and Lord knows we need it, it's appreciated, and we will surpass that. That's ahead of us, but at the same token, I need your help. I said it gets to be much when there's only one or two trying to get the work done. And yet there's so many other things that you're trying to also get done: church work, housework, book work, because I also work with my son with the bookkeeping and the tax service. I have a little 2-year-old great grand that keeps me mindful. Nana, I am here, although she did start school last week. And then your health. Yeah. That also plays a very physical part of what goes on in your life, because again, like I reminded my son, if you don't keep that health up to the level where it needs to be, it will let you down, and it's going to let you know when it's going to put it down. So there's a lot of signs that will let you know when it's time to pull it back a little bit.
I like that. And then it is the out of class, right? So we got to try to people stroke, I understand. We got a lot of need, but I think what we don't get to do is discuss it. And so a lot of times just letting it out, recognizing the signs, the symptoms of withdrawn. And I think depression, because we don't really talk about that a lot. We get depressed and oppressed because of the workload and overload. So I'm gonna try to keep this moving a little bit. How you doing? I'm Liz, and you're instructor for tonight. But what we didn't do was introduction, because we got a little caught up. So before we end, I want to hear from everybody. All right, stress management techniques. How do we get through this? What are some of the coping ways? We got mindful meditation, practicing deep breathing. One of the things I do at my workstation during the day is on YouTube, I have these vibration sounds, and it tells you the megahertz of what it is, like intellectual or relaxation. And even at night, I have it has an app that's called 3 Minutes, help you get to sleep. It helps you with anxiety. And what we do is focus on the sound, because your mind never stops, right? Your brain never shuts off. So those relaxation things actually helps you take away from some of that. We have to be intentional when we do meditation. A lot of times people say, I'm gonna meditate. You sit there for a few minutes and then your mind, what? Back off, right? So make sure you actually give yourself time on the clock, right? Say, I'm gonna do this for 30 minutes. Give yourself break. And allow yourself to really do that. I love being that we're by the water. What I do in the morning sometimes is I walk down at the Vinoy, and you see the dock. Water is so relaxing. And so take your meetings outside, take them to a picnic area. We have tons of parks around here. Usually gives me a lot of fun. Talk about time management. We were talking about that. prioritizing your tasks and setting realistic goals. How many of you really set realistic goals? She's like, what's your name, love? Nicole. So that's one of the things that, the challenges that we have to do. And if we talk about using tools, to better organize, we use the Asana. I have a project management. We use the Asana, we put stuff in there. Asana gives you dates, it sends out emails to say, hey, this is due, this is late. But one of the other things I like to do is, how many use the things to do list? And how many of you just have one compiled list? No, that's the wrong answer. And so what you do is, I do the company, I do nonprofit, I do this. And so everything cannot be a priority. So when we're setting goals for your nonprofit, in your strategic planning, you're probably gonna go through that with some of your vendors. You're gonna say, okay, what is my priority? And we tend to eat too much of the cookie. When you said pushing uphill, so that sounds like to me is you're trying to save the world in a small community. But what we really need to do is focus on that one focal point in your community. One thing we did with our nonprofit is we say, okay, we were doing all this stuff, and then like when Patty said, you got 4 people doing everything, right? No. Create an event and make that the best event you can make. And then once you do that and you replicate it, be intentional about what you do. Because that creates more stress for us. When you have all these events and planning, we should not be pushing uphill in our nonprofit. We should be very intentional, and with the resources we have now, it's gonna get you focused and structured. So you can say, okay, I'm just gonna do 2, and I'm gonna make the best tutoring program that we have in safety. And then you find out who's doing it and collaborate. And then that takes the stress off, because now you have partnerships and planning. So time management, support system, building those networks. I heard you guys switching information. You have a repository right here in the SSO where you can go out amongst the different nonprofits now, right, and collaborate when you're doing right. Natalia's over here tutoring. You got a financial literacy person, you got a wellness person. Put those together so you can strategize and help yourself. It's not about who's going to get the most money. It's about who's going to make the largest impact in our city, so we can continue to bring more funding in. So I don't want to preach up here, but yeah, but we have found that, and we have found that through collaboration that we have been able to get funding because of what we're doing. So like Second Chance, for instance, we had Project for Life, and our 2 focuses is Project for Life and our Women's Conference. We want to empower women, and now we're talking about retreat to women community. Law, government law. Hey. I do want to talk about backing up physical activity. It is so important that we stay physical, because one of the things stress causes is heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. That's not because of, sometimes it's hereditary, sometimes fitness watch, when you're sitting, it tells you when to get up and move. One of the things we become sedentary in our state of depression. I know I have PTSD, so when I was going through depression, I would lay in the bed and stuff is just piling up, right? That's where that accountability part or something. That's where those organizational setting realistic goals so that you're not overwhelmed. Cause once you're overwhelmed, it's very easy to step back and say, you know what? I'm just not doing enough. So we have to make sure we stay active, but not too active. It has to be a balance. I used to go to all these networking events, and I was like, you know what? I gotta pick and choose my monster now, right? Because it has to be very intentional for our purpose. Okay, let's see what we got. Been on time. Did y'all see that? Probably should have been with screen a little darker. We want to talk about setting boundaries, right? I don't know if you can see that, setting boundaries, time for personal interest and flexible work. How many of you raise your hand for everything? Setting boundaries. One boundary word is no. No, no, I can't do that. No, I don't have capacity to do that. I would love to, but not at this time. When I first got back from the army, I was like, man, I'll do this, I'll do that, joining all these organizations. After the first 6 months, I was like, what the? So you have to set boundaries because, again, define your boundaries to people and let them know that it's not personal. You have a personal life, right? Like you said, you have brands, you have children, you have husbands, you have wives, you have people that you need to create memories with. So when I see people on Facebook and they're at 5 events in a day or 7 days a week, and I'm like, my God, where is the family time? Where is the family? Where is that? So we have to do that because again, we're working jobs and running nonprofits, right? And you can jump in if anybody has anything to say. I'm really trying to stay on time and make sure we get out of this, but I don't want to breeze through personal time and personal interest. Find some hobbies. Give me a hobby. What's one of your hobbies? Right. Oh, that sounds really nice. What's your name dear? Lakeisha. Lakeisha, what's one of your hobbies? Well, oh. So every day I have to plan in a nap in the calendar very well. Walk there. I don't know, I don't have to, I don't have no February 16th. Right there. Yeah, I like to walk around downtown, just look at all the buildings, and you know, this, like I'm touring, I've been here 41 years. Absolutely, and if you can't name a hobby, that's a problem. I like, yeah, yeah. How about thinking of it? Oh, yeah, I eat the bagel. Yeah. I'm like, I'm eating now. So, talk about flexible work arrangement, explore options. I love now that we remote. I saw a gentleman, that like, I have a lot of family life. Yeah. Even though we're, I started yesterday, you know, in his office and his shorts and t-shirt. Let's be flexible. You know, I dress up for Sundays, but every now and then I like to, today, be, you know. Let's not be so structured. There's a time to dress up, but there's a time to relax. And I think once we get into the mindset that we can still be productive in my shorts and t-shirts, we're cool. So don't put right now. Absolutely. Yeah. You know that room syndrome, right? You have to dress your here. Now I'm just like, hey, me, we're here to be productive. I'm here to impress you. So as long as you can be productive, and I say this for your organization, and when you have your event, don't put those boundaries, because a lot of people may not have a dress code. So when you have volunteers, don't look at them like that. You know, put out your criteria, what you want. But sometimes we're too structured and too rigorous, and so that inhibits people from working with you, right? I like to have fun. So I mean, it's like come as you are. kind of thing. Let's be decent, let's be in order, and let's be kind to one another, you know, that keeps people away. The benefits of a balanced life is sanity. You gotta you will be insane when your life is imbalanced. Okay, going forward, prioritizing the minimum. This is one of the things people are taboo, and I'm gonna say this in the Black community. Mental health has been such a taboo thing, that we didn't talk about it until a relative committed suicide, or until somebody had to be put into, you know, a facility, and then it's like, so let me just tell you about mental health. I did, been in, a rehab after the war, PTSD. I went through inpatient care, and I had no problem with talking about it, because that's the thing that saved my life, right? And if I hadn't done that, if my daughter hadn't said, hey, mom, I see that, she had to tell me I was depressed. Because sometimes we can be functional depression, and we don't see the key. In your organization, it's important. I was asking Naomi how she's doing. And people say, okay, no. How are you doing? What's going on in your life? Take time to have a conversation, because our mental health, and I'm gonna give you another key of one of the disparities that I did, was I thought it was because of domestic violence, because of the trauma that I went. And I thought it was therapeutic to give you programs. What I found out was it just opened the right? And it was healing until I spiraled out, and finally I was not really any help to them until I got help. So a lot of times nonprofits are started off of the trauma, the something that you've gone through, but we haven't really healed from.
How do you go, how do you, yeah, because Don was on the professional chair, I'm here, Sean Clark, nonprofit organization for mental awareness, prevention for the young adults and underserved communities, and I'm from the here. Okay. So, what I noticed when I was like I said, I'm trying to reach out to help someone, but it kind of makes you reveal what you yourself. So how do you I'll tell the therapy session, that particular session wasn't for me.
Right.
So I tried with having and stuff, that helped. Because I was having really bad pain in my head, and I really don't know how I had that pain. Is I'm happy something of my son that's there, so I was learning different, things. So, but that session on me, everything had to say it from start to the finish. What happened? What scene did I walk into?
Right.
What did I do? I mean. So I realized I was good before that, and now I have to say it. And how do you know? If I'm being help someone else, and I feel learn over myself, what is there? That's what type of balance that you do, or
Yeah, and it is. It's helping yourself. And so one of the things I found was what you were talking about is your therapy. Let's address that first, and everybody. When you have going through therapy, it's like an interview. Everybody that you go to initially is not for you, right? And so when you're talking about getting help, you want somebody that you can relate to. I fired several of my military counselors, and so I went through I was at 3 different counselors. One was just a talk session where you just talk. One was the emergent training where you're talking about, we recorded it and we went over and over that deep therapy. And you have to work one-on-one with someone. And so when you're talking about helping someone, be very transparent. I'm still hurting. I'm still healing, but I don't want you to go through what I've gone through. So let's heal together, right? Because in the instance of self-inflicted wounds or traumas like that, oftentimes people are talking about it, but then, or they're not talking yet. So how did you reach the nonverbal? You let them know the signs that you saw or the signs that you missed, and have a safe space where you can talk. Anything goes. when we talk to our youth, I said, there's no judgment. There. Even with adults, there's no judgment. There. And that opens up for a better mental space, emotional space, and the ability to reach whoever you are. No matter what nonprofit you're in, everybody's going through a mental challenge. Whether it's hunger, whether it's homelessness, whether it's suicide, whether it's what's domestic violence, most of ours is community outreach. So we have to be able to help ourselves and be transparent. I tell people all the time, and I didn't know the truth. You know, I still deal with stuff, but I take people to get the help that I need as well. But you don't want to keep bleeding, right? You don't want to. Right. And in your organization, allow your helpers or your board members also to express. One of the things we do, I think if I get to it is, we do a spa day. You know, I have a membership where, man, we'll take all day, we go to lunch, we go to the spa, we sit in the sauna, we do that, and just be express. Give yourself, do a retreat, well, outside retreat with your group. And so you can, I mean, you can make that a planning thing, but just take time to step away from your mission and allow yourself to just decompress. Because it's a lot. You take on people's stuff and you don't realize when you take it on, even with them kids, when you know, when they struggle reading, you want to, I don't know, get it going, but you know, we take on that frustration. And so we have to be able to offload that, in a mental capacity where we are not, feeling guilty for ourselves. We're not regretting, but we have to give ourselves grace. And give yourself grace to cry. Give yourself grace to be able to continue to breathe. Nobody can tell you how long it takes. I was in domestic violence years ago, but still traumatized. I was telling Naomi, I'm still divorced. I'm still single because the trauma sometimes of getting back in there, you still have to deal with. But be honest with yourself and be honest with people that you're helping. Because one of the worst things you can do is be pretentious. People don't like, and I don't know what about other people, but I like being real, right? If you see me, even though Pastor Liz, I'm always Liz. And so when you see me, I don't change. And so people want transparency, and especially when you're talking about being mental well, you gotta be transparent and allow people to tell you how they feel, whether you like it or not. Whatever they say, it doesn't matter what you feel, it's how they're expressing what they feel and accepting it. So I hope that helps. Creating a supportive environment, and that's why we're talking about going out, doing a retreat, going to the park, going to sit outside somewhere where you can support each other. Go to lunch. I mean, how many times do we just come to work and we work? How many times do you have a working lunch where you just sit and break bread and be able to say, hey, you know, how is that going? You know, talk out the frustrations, right? Mm-hmm.
So when you talk to this is probably the third person that I heard say about 5 days for your nonprofit, I was talking to another young lady. What is the number? Yeah, that's like, you know,
Developmental training, we don't talk about training, we talk about, I think under there, we have the mindset that you have to be talking about training. And you can incorporate, as long as you're talking about business with it, but be very intentional. Hey, we're gonna have a spot, we're gonna have lunch, we're gonna talk about, you know, take one of your strategies out of your strategic plan and say, okay, how do we go forward? And then on the side time, you just like talk about what all is a part of an organization. It is a structure that's built into that what we don't build into, right? The Army's good about it. You gonna do PT at 5:30 in the morning, that's part of your wellness, working out, being active. But make sure you build that into your plan, a wellness plan for your organization. And that's why we're having this with the SSO, because we're showing you part of the structure. Why do we have burnout in nonprofits, and why do nonprofits fail? Because we don't put in realistic structures like this to say, hey, it's okay to take a day down. It's okay to take a month down. It's okay to take some time down so you can regroup, refocus, and give the better product you can to your client. Did that help? And then I'm not an accountant, so I don't want to mislead you on that, but I just know that I have a membership and I save up so much, and we just take that 5 times because I owe it to the people that work hard. And we're gonna see that in the next slide of, work stress, workshop, life balance exercises. Let's see where we are. Man, that lighting really messes me up. Sorry. Sorry. All right, so when we talk about the workshop, that's one of the things you can do too. You can do a wellness workshop, right? Where you talk about skincare, talk about hair care, talk about mind care, create a workshop for your, and that's part of the training development, where you can structure that into your nonprofit as well.
Quick question, so back to the strategy versus five. Because if you feel you can hold everything, you feel happy to talk about the business side of it, you could definitely also that the only thing is
Absolutely.
when you study, like we do or people are getting into one and so maybe 2 hours. Like, look down on lunch, but it's a party today, what do you have planned to be? Everything they have on my time, people simply wouldn't admit that they couldn't their hair, they, they feel safe with me because who am I judge? Yours one did.
Right.
So now as people, put their stuff, not intentionally, but they'll put it all under one thing that, oh, maybe she's not having a good day herself.
Yeah.
Then you get up and put on clothes and you smile and, oh, she carried her well, let me, so at what point are you able to just really turn it on?
And that's kind of how you want to talk with the people in your organization, or how the young lady, you may know a doctor, that is in the same situation as you. Every day is not a good day. So usually when I call and say, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? You can kind of know your people, right? And so you teach your people to know you, and today is not a good day. I'm having a moment. And so when we're transparent, and on your calendar, build in your wellness day. Just like you put in your program, your workshop, whatever you put that on your calendar. We're having a wellness day. We're having a wellness workshop. We're having something to be intentional. Because it's easy to say you're gonna do it, but then you never get to it. Maybe you should do it every fourth, every third, whatever on your calendar. This is our wellness day. Whether you go to a museum, whether you go to whatever, it doesn't have to be in a spa. It has to just make it a cultural day.
Everything day after day, so it's pretty hard to keep up with them. You gotta do that for this last,
Yeah.
something open.
And then, to start incorporating your volunteers too. They were like, oh man, that's pretty cool. We're doing this, maybe you can work out a barter deal with the spa, or you can work out a deal with the location, especially being nonprofit, a collaboration. We talk about the support system. Ask them to be a sponsor, shoot. And that way you can blast them out on Facebook saying we're doing this thing with our organization. So that's another way to incorporate it. Yeah, be mindful. Tom, got a few more minutes. Work balance, life exercise, we talked about that. It just gotta be a balance, I used to do on my calendar like Monday, I'm gonna work on this business, Tuesday, I'm gonna work on this business. I used to work for a minute, and then everything got convoluted. And then we talked about the to-do, right? The list that works, what is the priority for the day, what's the order of effect? So again, making sure you're creating memories with your family, making sure you're creating mental wellness for yourself, right? Sometimes I put my phone on do not disturb, because everybody thinks that you're supposed to be available 24 hours a day, not so, especially during my nap time, you know? The program is going to have important people that can call you. If it rings more than 4 times, it'll call you. But when I'm listening, I'm serious. I need my recharge and get over that. Every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in Hawaii and the Asian countries, because that's where I traveled to. So at lunchtime, they used to be, in Japan, they used to go scuba diving for taking naps. I didn't do that. So I don't know, right? In Hawaii, everybody's laid back, it's like, when they said they're on Hawaii time, they're on their own time. Meetings supposed to start 30 minutes later. But it's like, it's no stress. It's not, that's the culture. But now recharging you and it shows that I'm 56 years old and I'm trying to age gracefully, right? And so with that, you have to be able to recharge, regenerate your body. So do I take enough every day? I should try. I sure do. 66. So there you go. You gotta be, and give yourself, build it in, and give yourself grace. Say, you know what, I'm not gonna answer this email right now, but I'm gonna take my nap. And then once you get up, you feel better. You feel good. Y'all ain't nap at your bed, See? And that's it, giving you grace, taking it off. Something when you need to decompress in your mind, and sometimes things get overwhelmed. Think about that, putting that in your organization. So a de-stress room, put a massage and feel that on your brain in the massage chair. And when you get it, let me know where y'all at. Yeah. Okay, now we're almost recognizing, recognizing and awarding, rewarding your board member of the month or volunteer of the month, or pick somebody and rotate it through and make sure you highlight them and then get people involved and say, hey, they recognize my hard work. Or be kind. You never know what anybody's going through, right? So just coming in and having that the snacks or whatever, you can put that into your funny food, for organizational meetings and stuff like that. Especially back there, you like to eat, so make sure you're building that in for your people when you're having early morning meetings or whatever, It's just showing kindness, right? And showing people you appreciate them. People are. Training and development, you're doing that right now. So the same thing we're doing here, you can go back to your organization and do it. And I know y'all like, this really, we're already busy, but I know. We will get there and make sure everybody's question and answers. Got 15 minutes, so we got a little bit of time to support. I do want to go back to this one. Yeah, this was made. Can y'all see that? Made probably will be a little darker. Recommended reading, professional development for yourself. Again, finding books. I have a whole list of books I probably give to Lindsay. We can dump out there. Self-help, self-awareness. Things. I like this bone broth book. I'm a health kind of eating person. But making bone broth from scratch, you buy the bones from Publix and you put it in a crock pot
Bones with what?
I'm gonna tell you. So you put the bones in the crock pot, water, and then what the thing is, it's medicinal because the marrow is, what you're doing. So you cook the bones and you push the marrow and then make it. No, the beef bone.
Meat bones.
So anyway, I'm gonna give you the bone broth.
Yeah.
But what it does is, it's for medicinal, it helps your skin, it helps your spine, it's just holistic, right? A holistic approach, so you can take that and have a cup of that in the morning for breakfast or whatever. So it's about self-care, how do we take care of ourselves and being intentional about finding the books, finding the reading, finding the things that's going to help you live long enough to do your mission. And how do we help our organization, people in your organization to be better, well. So, any questions? Any, why do you want to add anything? We'll make sure we get any information out that you all want. What are the team here? We'll make sure we get, yeah. Thank you for enduring the storm. Hello.
You're doing
I
all
need Yeah, let's do an introduction real quick. We'll start over here.
Hey, I'm with the Ryan class.
And what's your foundation? Just real quick.
People who have experienced childhood trauma, related to life and health.
My name is Patty Williams. I'm with Unified People Services. And our nonprofit, has a couple of things that we do. We have a tutoring program. That was started October the 2nd, and we have probably put a name to the program now. We call it Faith Tech in Action. Tutoring program. We let the kids go off on summer break and school shut down, so we will start it back up on September the 9th, 5:30 until 7:30. That's on a Monday. And we're just looking for those kids out there who really need additional help. I think I'm gonna be doing a survey, if not this weekend, then next weekend. Have a survey that I'm gonna be doing with the joint population. And see how that works, and then take it from there, and building up to the program.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I am Kendra White. I'm basically the New Faith Foundation, and I'm along with the Faith Tech in Action. Thank you. I'm Nicole Slaughter Graham. I'm the African American Association. And we are focused on basically bringing the history of St. Petersburg town to the rest of St. Petersburg, so that the historic complex can help the city move forward the more. Thank you. And other relations Sean Clark, one of my sons, he's over there, is like to mention the youth and other adults.
Thank you.
Matt Lindsay, CEO of Acadia, also very happy to be here. And
I'm the only director of program operations.
yeah,
And again, if you missed, I'm Liz Stickland, I'm the owner of Impact Solutions, and I also, we have a nonprofit, Second Chance Foundation Foundation that we have to do with. So I feel your pain on both sides. Work balance is very important. Thank you all for being here, and again, I'll share that reading material and self-help stuff, I'll give it to Mary, and we'll do that.